I have long been TV commercial in childhood.
Okay, but yeah, never say I haven't. Instead, say yeah, I don't have a particular TV commercial in mind, but yeah. And again, what really matters is not the real answer to my question. So I don't really care if it's the best one that you've seen, but I really need some answer, right? So you could just make up yeah, you can even lie to me and say the best commercial I've seen is the Samsung advert that I've seen yesterday on YouTube, and that is fine too. Alrighty, guys. Now moving on, let's talk about the IELTS exam format. So, what do you know about the IELTS speaking exam? Tell me everything you know so far.
We have 3 parts. So first is simple questions. Second is you should describe yourself, and the examiner have paper and pencil. And in first 1 minute, you should notice some sentence and talk maybe 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes. And third part, we have general questions. So the all should be maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay, so Aida has captured many parts of the IELTS speaking exam. Its duration between 10 and 15 minutes. So typically somewhere around 11 or 12 minutes. Then the 3 parts. Is there anything that Aida missed, guys? Anything that you would want to add to her?
So we should to be more confident and polite with examiner.
Okay, and never use to with modal verbs, like never say should to. I mean, that's the worst thing you could do. Like we should be, or we should say. Okay, right. I mean, being polite is. I mean, you should be polite with everybody, right? Not just the examiner. I mean, it's just a normal part of our daily communication. But speaking of the IELTS speaking part in particular, so this is what the typical speaking exam structure looks like. So as you can see, it always begins with some general questions, right? What's your full name? Can I see your ID? This part is not graded, so you don't have to worry about your answers too much here. These are just to check your general understanding. And this is, I think, starting from question 3, this is where IELTS speaking exam begins. So as you see in part 1, the examiner will ask you some general questions. So these are the questions about your, you can see my screen, don't you? Right? You can see these questions.
I see.
Okay.
Right, yeah, looks like you can. So these would be some general questions about your life, about your studies or work, asking about your general background, right? Do you work or study? Have you ever been on a boat? So there could be an interesting topic like that, right? Would you take a vacation on a boat? Do you like traveling on a boat? What kind of music do you like? So there could be several topics from your background, just checking in. And the answers here should be short, from 3 to 4 sentences. You don't have to explain the whole story here, right? It doesn't have to be long. Part 2 is the part where the answer is expected to be long. This is the longest monologue in the IELTS speaking exam. Here, you will be given a card with questions. This card is called a cue card, right? And here, you will be asked to describe certain topic. So, for example, describe a product you bought and felt happy about, right? You should say what it was, where you bought it. How long should your answer be in part 2? Does anyone know?
Could you repeat the question?
How long should your answer be in part 2?
2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, does everybody agree? Is that 2 to 3 minutes?
Maybe it's 3-4 minutes.
3-4 minutes. Any other ideas? So, okay, let me help you here. It should be between 1 to 2 minutes, guys. Yeah, you wouldn't have 3 to 4 minutes. You will have 1 minute to prepare your answer, then between 1 and 2 minutes to produce it. Okay, so the ideal answer length would be maybe 145, 150, or yeah, you can even go up to 2. But if you go longer than 2 minutes, the examiner will have to stop you. Okay, and that's not, I mean, for some people, it interrupts their flow. It's not what you want. So for this part, it is best to practice with the stopwatch. You know, you try answering and then you record the length of your answer. In part 3, you will be asked some general questions, as Aida said, but let's read the questions here. Janseya, can you help me read these questions?
What are the disadvantages of online shopping? Why?
Okay, why is consumerism changing? We lost you, Janseya. And the third question?
People replace?
Yeah, why do people replace things rather than repair them? Right? Okay, good. So what do you think is the difference in the nature of questions in part 3 and part 1? So I'm still listening, guys. So what's the difference?
In part 1, you will talk about yourself, like your life, your study. And in part 3, you're gonna talk about something different, like shopping, consumerism, like replacing, and etc.
Precisely. Yeah, that's one difference, right? In terms of the topic, part 1 asks about you and your experience. Part 3 asks about a separate topic, right? But what are other differences that you notice?
Please. Maybe you need to discuss with examiner.
You need to discuss with the examiner. And what's the difference between the discussion and part 1?
At first, you need to just to talk about you, and at the part 3, you need to discuss about issues and about ideas.
Okay, good. Yeah, issues, some abstract ideas. That's true. Anything else?
Also in part 3, you should to give general answers.
Should give. No, never say should to give.
General answers, and also.
And when you say general answers, what do you mean?
Like from not your opinion, for overall in one country or one city.
Well, why not? I disagree in part 3. Part 3 is the part where you give your opinion.
I don't totally agree with Aida. I think we in the part 3 we usually share with our opinion, but in the part 2 we can share with our experience maybe.
In part 2, you said.
Yeah, we can share with our experience that we have voted this thing, but in the part 3 we can share with our opinion. What do we think about this issue?
Yeah, that's true. What Guljaina says is right. Okay, and one final difference that I would like you to notice is the depth of questions. So the types of skill that is required in part 3 and part 1. In part 1, you only reflect on your past things, right? In part 3, sometimes you're required to analyze a topic. Look, what are the disadvantages of online shopping? That requires an analytical skill, right? You need to think. You need to be able to identify those disadvantages. I guess Janseya would be good and why consumerism changing? This is an ability to think about abstract, right? And the ability to compare the past the present, and probably project the future, right? Here you try to explain how the consumerism was changing, right? What was it like before? What does it look like now? And why do people replace things rather than repair them? Again, a skill of comparison. So to summarize, part 3 is the hardest in terms of your analytical input. You need to think hard for part 3. But again, with proper time and practice, you will be able to do that as well as in previous parts. Cool. How do examiners evaluate your answers in IELTS speaking? Any ideas?
Due to your pronunciation, grammar skills.
Okay, so let me give you a hint. There are 4 criteria according to which your speech is judged. One of them is pronunciation. What's another one? What are another 3?
Pronunciation, fluency.
Okay. Pronunciation, fluency. What else?
Grammar.
Grammar.
How you can fast think.
And vocabulary.
How fast can you think? Well, I mean, not quite. Yeah, there is no exam that can evaluate the speed of your thought. But yeah, there is fluency. And what's the last one?
Vocabulary.
Okay, lexical resource. Right.
Yeah.
So here are 4 of them. Right, from left to right: fluency and coherence, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. Okay, guys. So let's try to see how well you know these criteria. So, Big Bolat, how do you understand fluency and coherence? What is it? Big Bolat? Can you hear me?
I hear.
Yeah.
Maybe fluency and coherence. It's how can I speak and share my opinion.
Can you be more specific? So, what does a fluent person look like, or what does a fluent speech sound like? Anyone else? Any ideas, guys? So, how do you understand fluency and coherence?
Talking without stops, like breaks.
Exactly, that's one. Yeah, that's one aspect of fluency. Being able to produce an uninterrupted speech. A speech in which you don't have to stop many times. Speech at a quite high speed. I think that's the real difference between someone very fluent, the speed of speech. Okay, how about coherence? How do you understand coherence?
You should know what about to say and what do you want to talk in the finally.
So you said knows
from the
about
beginning to the final. Yeah, if you want to talk about your story, you should talk only about it. You shouldn't talk some not very important details, not other things when you are talking about this story.
So topical consistency, right? Staying on the same topic. I mean, when you're asked about it. Okay, good. I agree. Anything else about the coherence?
I think
It's maybe your skills, how you can use your English, also without hesitations, like and
Hesitations, you mean?
yeah, hesitations.
Okay. I think that more pertains to fluency, right? The hesitations part.
Yes.
But But anything to add about coherence? Maybe Diana?
Coherence of the sentences. You should, we can try to talk about stories in a right column in order to make our examiner to understand us.
Okay, and how would you do that?
Usually when I try to talk a story to others, I make a short plan orally, and then I try to speak about them one by one.
Okay. Diana has pointed out a very important aspect of coherence, right? And yeah, looks like Jean Seya, who has just texted me, he noticed that too. It's about the structure of your speech, right? And how you can use the linking words and some lexical devices to structure your speech. First of all, we're talking. Moreover, on the other hand, among the disadvantages, coherence is also about clarity, right? How well you use these linking words to make your speech clear to others. And also it is about the connection, right, between parts of your speech. Sometimes we use these linking devices to connect what we've said before with what we're saying later, right? And as I've mentioned, so this is one example of a linking word which improves the connection, the coherence between the parts of our speech. Very good. Now, moving on quickly, lexical resource. What do you think this criterion is about? Diana?
Lexical resource, it's how many words do you know and how you can to combine it between.
So how well you can combine or use those words?
Yeah. Between each.
Okay, good. So again, a few parts of the lexical resource. First of all, it's your vocabulary background, right? And here Diana is correct in saying that how many words you know, but also how many complex words, how many advanced words you know. I'll be honest with you guys, during the Ielts exam, your level could be determined by the examiner in the first few minutes, just from the words you use, and just from the way you produce them, which means that it is quite essential for you over the course of the next 8 weeks to focus on learning advanced words to get to these higher levels, 6 or 7 or 8. But you shouldn't just blindly memorize those words and use them at any context, right? The context matters too. Context matters a lot. Like, do you use those words appropriately where they should be? And that's where you need to learn the collocations, right? You need to know what words are used with what adjectives, right? And in what situations. Again, that's why one part of our training includes demonstrating the examples of new words in a sentence. How many of you have already downloaded Quizlet and have started practicing our vocabulary sets? Have you done that already?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then you might probably notice that our words, our flashcards also have examples in sentences, right? That's why we put them, because we want you to understand how and in what context, in what situation you can use a particular word. Grammatical range and accuracy, what is that criterion about? Maybe Aida Saylalkızı?
Use word tenses properly, like structure without any drawbacks.
Okay. It's about grammar, right? so having less errors. So one question to you guys. If you want to have a high score of 7, let's say, or 7.5, does that mean that you cannot make any mistakes?
No.
And why no? Why not?
Especially in while we speak, we usually forget. We can forget about grammar, but the structure of the sentence, we should try to do it in the right way. But it doesn't mean that we mustn't do any mistakes.
All right, perfect. So what Gujana has said, and the real point here is that just because there is a criterion called grammatical range and accuracy, it doesn't mean that you cannot make any mistakes. I mean, having few mistakes is fine, but as long as it doesn't create interruptions for the examiner to understand you. So as long as you do not stop and focus too much on the errors you make, and yeah, as long as it is easy to understand you, making some mistakes is fine, even for the score of 8 or 9. That's why, guys, you shouldn't worry too much about the errors you make. I mean, of course, I will be correcting you. I will be pointing out the areas where you need to brush up your grammar and improve. But nevertheless, when you make a mistake, you shouldn't be too conscious of your own speech. Okay, so you should rather focus on fluency and trying to make your point clear rather than having correct grammar. And the final one is pronunciation. So let me ask you a question, guys. To have a high score, do you need to copy an American or British accent?
Actually, no.
No.
And why not?
Because we can't speak as a native speaker anyway, and we just try to speak them in the right way, to try to speak it correctly in order to make other students or speakers to understand us. I think that's enough.
All right. So if you read the description for Band 8 in pronunciation section, you can see that it says it is easy to understand throughout. Language 1 accent has minimal effect on intelligibility. Intelligibility is basically the ability to understand you, which means that your accent is never a problem. It is okay to have a Kazakh, Russian or Ukrainian accent. Really doesn't matter. What matters is pronunciation, which is different from an accent. Pronunciation is how you pronounce these words. So for example, if you say the word, if you pronounce the word consider as consider, that is a pronunciation mistake. And it doesn't matter what accent you speak it with, right? Alternatively, even if you have a Kazakh accent, but you say the word consider correctly by pronouncing E as E, not as I, yeah, you can still get a high score. Therefore, don't worry about your accent, worry about pronunciation, worry about the way these words must be pronounced. That's why I highly recommend, whenever I see a new word myself, I just go to Google, and if you type that word and click meaning, so I'll show you an example. Let's say you've okay, let's say you've come across a word, disenfranchisement, and you're not sure about its pronunciation. You can either just type it, or you can also say disenfranchised meaning, no difference. And the Google would show you the meaning, the definition of that word with this sound button.
Disenfranchise.
And if you click it, you can listen to its pronunciation. There is even a button called Learn to Pronounce. It will teach you to pronounce this word slowly. Look.
Disenfranchise.
Disenfranchised, right? It shows the stress here. You can choose the variant like British or American.
Disenfranchise. Disenfranchise.
And you see, yeah, that's where the magic comes. All righty, guys. So that's it about the criteria. Any questions about the speaking band descriptors, about the 4 criteria you have? So these are the main things you should keep in mind, okay? And very often when you will submit your audio recordings to the platform, and I'll be providing you with feedback, I will refer to these criteria, okay? That's why it is important for you to have a clear understanding of how you are assessed in this exam. It would also be very helpful if you, after the lecture, after our lesson, I'll send you the slides. It would be very useful if you go through these band descriptors one by one and read it carefully so that you have a clear understanding of the difference between 5 and 7 and 8, okay? Cool.
Excuse me.
Yep.
I have a question about parts. I heard
Sure.
information in part 2 and part 3 is connected with topic. Like you can know maybe topic of third parts if you know the second part.
Yeah, that is a typical practice during the Ielts exam. So for example, let's say, let's look at this one. Here, part 2 asks us to describe a product you bought, right? So it's a topic about purchasing things. And part 3 is related to part 2. Look, we're talking about online shopping. We're talking about consumerism. We're talking about replacing things, right? So yeah, definitely part 2 and part 3 are connected. But it is hard to say that you can use it to your advantage. I mean, this information doesn't make it easier for you, right? It's hard. Okay, cool. Now, today we will be talking about part 1. And let's read one sample answer for part 1. Big Bullet, can you help me go through this slide, please? Just read it for us.
I have a question.
What one? Which one? Yeah.
That is, there can be any topic in 3 parts, and you must have a large vocabulary.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, obviously, yeah, you would need a decent vocabulary to be able to get a good score on IELTS. I mean, anyways.
Okay.
Now, can you help me read this slide, please?
I can see.
What about the rest of you guys? Can anyone see it? Part 1 sample answer. Maybe Aida. Aida, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, can you read it for us, please?
Examiner, let's talk about your home country. Was the claimant like? Candidate is not most of the time. Sometimes there is rain.
Be careful. First of all, what's the climate like? Then it's hot. It's hot.
Oh, yeah, it's hot most of the time. Sometimes there is rain. Thank you. What are the main industries? Making cars and buses. And there are many factories which make plastic things. I see. And what are the main
festivals?
Yes, festivals. What does festivals mean? It means a special time when communities and families celebrate something. Oh, okay. Well, our big festival is in summer. I see.
All right. So what score would you guys give to this candidate?
I think it's not the full answers. Maybe.
But that's part 1.
Yeah, I know. But if you were asked to evaluate part 1 answer, so what score would you give from 0 to 9?
6. Maybe 7.
6 or 7.
Maybe 4 or 5.
Okay. Other ideas? Diana, before
7.
Grzena?
I agree with 7.
Okay. Okay, so let me tell you what I think. I think this speech scores somewhere between 5 and 6. There are a few problems with it. One is that the information given here was too basic. You see, it's making cars and buses. What are the main industries? Making cars and buses. I mean, it's very surface level information. You see, the climate in the country, it's hot most of the time. I mean, too basic for it to score higher than 6. And again, the question was, what are the main festivals? Our big festival is in summer. The information that the candidate gives is not enough, right? But there is another problem. Candidate doesn't really expand on his answer. You see, these are just one-liners, very simple answers which need to be expanded further, but the candidate doesn't do that. Let's look at the other answer here, and let's split it to 2 parts. Aida Sailauqızı, can you help me read the first 2 paragraphs?
Okay. It's generally hot and humid, although it rains heavily in October. This has a big influence on our way of life and our industries because work tends to start in the rainy season. Thank you. What are the main industries? The main industry is the production of cars and buses, which are mostly exported. Plastic items, especially toys, are important exports as well. In fact, we tend to export most of the products that we manufacture. Okay. Then, Gurjana, can you help me read this second few paragraphs?
Okay. I see. What are the main festivals? Sorry, can you explain what the word festival means? It means a special time when communities and families celebrate something. Thanks. Well, our principal festivals are religious because most people in my country follow the same religion. We have a 3-day festival in summer when people exchange gifts. We also have a National Independence Day in January. On both festivals, families celebrate together and shops close for several days. So we need to plan these events carefully, as you can imagine.
All right. Fantastic. Now, what do you think about these answers, guys? So what score would you give to that?
Maybe 8.
9 scores, maybe.
9. All right.
Answers.
8.
Other ideas? 9, 8. Okay, does everybody agree? It's a high score. Okay, I would agree with you. I would probably give it somewhere between 8 and 9. There are a few strengths of this answer, few things you can learn from. One is advanced vocabulary. Look, if we pay attention to things like to vocabulary items like hot and humid, you see, then speaking about tends to exchange, again, the words like export. I mean, export isn't the most advanced word, but again, in the context of the answer, it's good when people exchange gifts, right? But another strength you can pay attention to is that the candidate has very expanded answers, right? And they expanded it using a 2-step process. And this is the thing I want to teach you today, 2-step process. Let's look at the answer that the candidate gave for question 1. Now, Diana, can you help me read this paragraph, please?
Yes. Let's explain what this means. The candidate said, it's generally hot and humid, although it rains heavily. Although it rains heavily in October. This has a big influence on our way of life and our industries because work tends to stop in the rainy season. Here the candidate describes the climate and then gives a second more general piece of information about the climate, telling us about its influence.
So you see, this is step one. In step one, you answer the question directly, right? What the climate looks like. Again, the question was, what is the climate like? The sentence answers the question directly, but then the second sentence expands it, right? It gives some more general piece of information, like this climate has a big influence on our way of life and our industries because work tends to stop in the rainy season. Let's look at another example of the two-step process. Now I would need, Jansia, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, can you read this paragraph for us?
The main industry is the production
Of cars and buses.
most of the products that we manufacture. Here the candidate does something similar.
Yeah, Jansia, we're losing you because of the network.
He was.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have internet problem.
Yeah, right. So he answers the questions and gives a second, more general piece of information. Again, right? The main industry is the production of cars. This is a direct answer. And then the second sentence expands on it, right? Plastic items, especially toys, are important exports as well. We tend to export most of the products. So you see, you provide some general information, which is not directly linked to the answer, but to the question, but is linked to the first sentence you give. And even in the third sentence, we can notice that too. Let's quickly read the third answer together. So again, the question was about festivals, and they say our principal festivals are religious because most people follow the same religion. They have a 3-day festival in summer when people exchange gifts. We also have a National Independence Day on January. On both festivals, families celebrate together and the shops close for several days. So we need to plan these events carefully, as you can imagine. So let's, again, in the third question, they expand the first piece of information. Our principal festivals are religious. And then the candidate expands his answer, right? He provides an example of those religious holidays. Then he summarizes both by giving a generalized statement, right? That they need to plan these events carefully, as you can imagine. So overall, guys, this is what we call a two-step process, right? Again, remember, memorize the structure. You give an initial piece of information, then you add some general piece of information, okay? Showing that you understand the situation. And overall, you need to have 3 to 4 sentences for part 1, okay? There's no need to go more than that. No need to give very long answers. So how about we practice this two-step process together? I'll be asking you some questions and I expect each of you to answer, okay? So question 1. Let's start with, let's start with Aida, not Sayla, but yeah, the first Aida. Aida. And while Aida is answering, rest of you, please pay attention. Think about how you would have answered that question, okay? How you would have expanded it if you were her. Aida, please tell me about your hometown. What do people do in the evenings?
Hometown?
Yep.
So in general, in my town, most of people go out to sea because now is the summer season when they can just walk and pleasure with their families.
They go out to the seaside. Okay, good. That's a very good part 1. And what general information would you add to expand your answer?
Actually, in general, in our town, it's very good weather to spend your time with friends and families.
Good, that's one way. But you also mentioned that, in the evenings, most people go to the seaside, right? Can you say something about the seaside?
So Aktau is most popular with the seaside, and actually in my town there is no choice to go out. So it's the first place where you can just spend your time.
All right, good. Very good. Moving on. Let's go to Aida Saylauqızı. Aida, let's talk about your plans for the future. Well, what kind of career do you want to follow?
Actually, I want to follow to business sphere because business sphere is one of the most crucial spheres nowadays, and I think that that's a reasonable reason to choose this sphere. Like there are a lot of people who choose it, and and show the diligence or diligence. I don't know how to pronounce it.
What word?
Diligence or diligence?
What would you like to say? What's the meaning of that? What's the translation?
In Russian, it's усердие.
Diligence. Diligence.
Diligence. I'm sorry.
Diligence. Okay, good. Yeah, when G is followed by E or E vowels, you would turn to G. Okay, good. Great. You got the structure. I like it. Now, okay, Gurjaina, tell me about your family. What do they do?
So there are 5 members in my family. My father, mother, and I have 2 sons. My father works as a dentist, and my mom works as a teacher in school nowadays. So, and me also, I work as a teacher at school. So all of us like our work.
Oh, okay, good. Or you could say, it seems to be a family tradition for us to work in the education sphere, right, or in the education field. The second part needs to be expanded a bit. Good. Now, Diana, tell me about your country's food and dishes.
The main, как будет страва?
What's that?
The main course.
The main dish, you can say.
Yeah. The main dish is borscht. Also in Ukraine, one of the main dishes is deruny, and maybe salo with bread. All people from all countries love our food very much because I think it's so delicious.
All right. I love the second part. You also got the structure. Very good. Now we have Big Polat. Big Polat, where do you live at present? Can you hear me, Big Polat? Yeah, so where do you live at present? Okay, there might be a network. Okay.
No. I live in Ekibastuz. It's a small city near Pavlodar. but it's intense intensity because all people opposite друг от друга. Как сказать друг от друга?
From each other, to each other?
Opposite from each other.
And yeah, can you say the meaning you were trying to say in Russian?
Сказать на русском?
Yep. So,
Я в настоящее время живу в городе Экибастуз.
Yep, I currently live in Ekibastos. It is located next to where? What?
Возле Павлодара.
Okay, it is located next to the city of Pavlodar. Okay, and then?
Это достаточно маленький город, но насыщен разными ситуациями.
Okay, I see that's what you were trying to say. It is a rather small town, but it is quite busy. You can say it's quite busy, right? And active, right? And what's the last part?
Это достаточно маленький город, потому что каждый занят своим делом, и ну вот все.
All right. Again, I think the area where you need to improve is vocabulary, right? Having sufficient amount of words to describe your ideas, but you got the structure too. I mean, I love the structure. It's, again, a two-step process. Now, I guess, and one final one, any volunteers? Have we missed anybody or not? I think we covered everybody, right? Any volunteers for the last question? Okay, then let's do one more with Janseya. Janseya, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, Janseya, what do you like to do at weekends?
When we study in medicine, we don't have time, and I free time in the weekend. I go to swimming for my health, and I read more books in weekends. That's all.
All right. It feels like you could have added one general sentence about reading books. Maybe. How do you feel about reading books?
Reading books, I like read action books, and sometimes I read fantasy.
Okay.
I'm the biggest fan of Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Okay, good. Perfect. Yeah, make sure you add that generalized statement. So guys, let's read some examples for the band 5 or band 9 to the same questions I asked you. You can see my screen, don't you? Right? Can you see it, guys? The desk.
No.
How about now? Can you see the questions here on screen? Please tell me about your home. Still
yeah.
no?
Now yes.
Okay, good. So I think we had the first Aida, not Sayla Qaza, on this question, right? Please tell me about your hometown. Can you read these two answers?
Oh yeah. People go to the main square and drink coffee.
Okay, this is obviously, yeah, I'll interrupt you here. I mean, I just make a pause. This is an answer for band 5 or 6, right? You see, just one sentence, no expanded answer. How about band 9?
Many people socialize in the main square, especially in the coffee shops. You could say that main square is the most important social meeting place because we don't have a beach or any big nightclubs as some other towns do.
Okay, good. Next question, Aida Sayloğza.
Let's talk about your plans for your future. What kind of career do you want to follow? I want to be a food scientist, maybe for a big company. I plan to be a food scientist, which would mean finishing my degree and joining a large retail company. It's a challenge, but I think that my personal skills are well suited to that type of environment.
So you see the second sentence adds some general information, right? That's a challenge, but I think my personal skills are good for this type of environment. Next one. Okay, Gulzena.
My parents are teachers. I have a sister. She's a student. My parents are both teachers. They teach engineering and biology. I think they have been a big influence on my sister and me because my sister is studying technology and I'm applying to Australian universities to study genetics.
Okay, there's a mistake here. I think they have had, it should be had here, but you got the point, right? So they have, but you got the point. She or he is generalizing it with a sentence about influence, right? Now, Diana.
Band 5 or 6. Our favorite food is meat. Our national dish is a lamb dish like curry. Band 9, we tend to eat a lot of meat, although these days these days people are trying to eat less meat for health reasons. We have a national dish which is similar to lamb curry, but made in a unique way. Unique way. Not many people know the recipe, so eating it is always exciting for us.
Recipe. Know the recipe, so eating it is always exciting for us. So good. Again, an example of a generalized sentence, right? They don't only say what dish is that, they also say, yeah, it's made in a unique way. Not many people know the recipe. Okay, Big Bullet.
What are you living at present? I'm living with 2 other students in an apartment. At the moment, I'm renting an apartment with 2 other students because we want to be close to the campus, and property in that area, it is actually quite expensive. I'm pleased with the location because it's very convenient and it's quiet at night.
Convenient and quiet at night. The author decided to explain the reasoning behind the choice, right? So why they're renting an apartment. Again, a very good example of expanding the answer. And the final one, Josaya.
What do you like? I play tennis a lot. I go to club near my house. Band 9, my main activity these days is playing tennis as I belong to a
club near my house.
As well as the tennis itself. To be honest, I enjoy the.
Yeah, to be honest, you don't pronounce the H. To be honest, I enjoy.
Okay, I enjoy the social side as much as the sport.
So I really look forward to weekends, right? Okay, great. Thanks, Shansaya. Now, yeah, I hope that by now, guys, it is crystal clear to you what the 2-step structure means, right? Any questions about what your answer for part 1 should look like?
No.
Okay. Now that we're done with the main theoretical part, let's have some free discussion about the topic that I prepared for today, guys. Just give me 1 second. Alrighty, guys. So as people get older, right? All of us get older, obviously. The perceived value of time increases, right? We start valuing our time, the time around us more and more. So definitely time is the topic that each of you has something to tell us about. So my first question to you guys, and yeah, don't be shy. I mean, it's time to speak up, time to practice. How much free time do you usually have? Come on. How much free time do you usually have? Gurjana, how much free time do you usually have?
As I said before, I work as a teacher. That is why it's really hard to me to find any free time. But I try to plan my work, my day, and that's why sometimes I can find any time. So usually about 1 hour per day, I can spend spending not for job but for reading books or watching TV. So I think it's very useful for everybody to have a free time daily.
Okay, but yeah, one hour a day doesn't sound like a lot, but yeah, it definitely seems like you're very busy. What about others? How much free time do you guys have? The camera. Um, let me quickly check. Aida, what's her? Because I don't want to keep calling you Noit
Через записайте.
Yeah. What's your surname, Aida?
Айтпай.
Айтпай. Okay, Айтпай Aida. How much free time do you have?
To be honest, my schedule is very busy. On the whole day, I spend most time to cleaning the house and spending with courses, just learning English. I have 3 courses. Is the Hear Yours, then second is Ielts exam, and third is course with my coach. So actually, I don't have the free time, just only on the weekends. So on the weekends, I prefer more spending time with my friends.
I see. Yeah, sounds like you're very busy too. So all courses are on Ielts, all 3?
Just 2 is Ielts, and the third is with my coach.
Okay, got it. All right. And how important is time to you guys? How much do you care about your time? Maybe Aida Sailaukaza, something to say about this?
Okay, to be honest, time is very essential for me because I believe that each person has to use his own time properly because like time is not just piece of cake. We can lose them like easily. So we have to respect our time. But sometimes I waste it by watching Marvel videos or films.
Diana, if you had more free time, what would you do?
It's a good question because I have not a lot of free time. I think that I have more free time. I want to travel because I can't to do this now. Maybe I think I will doing more sport because I have a lot of work, I have a lot of study, and I have no time for sport.
You will do more sports, right? Yeah. And same thing as I said previously to Aida, never say can't to do, like with modal verbs, can, or would, or could, and might, again, no to, right?
Okay, thank you.
All right. And Big Polat, if you had more free time, what would you do?
I have a different free time because it depends. It depends of day. Let's say Monday and Thursday I have a courses, but Thursday and Tuesday I have a workout and my little brother. Maybe that's all.
Time is money. Do you agree or disagree?
Yes, I agree. Time and money, because time you can, yeah, you can get the time back.
You can get the time back. All right. What do others think about this? Do you agree or disagree that time is money?
It's actually hard to give the certain answer. I think time is not come back again. Just you should waste it with your minus.
With your own minus? What do you mean by that?
We should plan our time correctly.
Carefully. What else? Anybody who disagrees that time is money? What do you think on this, Gurjana?
I totally agree with this proverb, because it's also, I have this problem almost always, because it's really hard to me to find any time when I'm at work. And when you want to do something quickly, you always need money, I think. You can, if you want to catch a taxi, if you are, you know that you are going to be late to anywhere, to any meeting, and other else. If you need any anybody to help you, you also need to give a thanks for him, to give any presents or maybe money. Yeah, that's why it's the main problem for me to find any time, any free time. And there are lots of there were lots of situations when I need more time, and I was late for any meetings. That's why I agree with this proverb.
All right. Some people say that you can, for example, you can buy anything, but you cannot buy your time back. Do you agree with that?
Actually, yes.
Yeah. Why can't you buy your time? Explain again.
I think it's the main resource in our life that we can buy it. Just time is going, and you should be in process. I don't hear you. I still don't hear you. Your microphone is not working.
No,
how about now?
We can't. Yes, right now, yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like there was a mic problem. So maybe Aida Salawkaza, what do you think? Do you agree with what Aida Itpai said?
I agree with your statement because time can become our friend, also our enemy, but it depends on us. We can choose, like, we can make time our friend or enemy, but sometimes it's just not depends on us. How to say? Sometimes you have no opportunities to make communication with time, but sometimes also there are good possibilities to use time properly without money.
Okay. And how do you feel? A question to everybody. How do you feel when time is wasted?
Feel blue,
You feel good?
blue.
You feel blue. Okay. I mean, uh, every time when you answer a question, try to make this a habit. Try to give an example, right? So, for example, last time I wasted 2 hours on something and something happened. Can you give an example of when you felt blue about wasting your time, Aida?
Recently, I waste my time a lot. Then consequently, I couldn't go to a party.
Okay. Okay. And how did you feel that time?
Actually, it made me peaceful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right.
I had a bad mood and nobody wanted to talk with me because no, that's clear. I was angry and don't want to talk with anyone.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Well, what about others, guys? How do you feel when your time is wasted?
I feel sad usually. That was the situation. May I share with you?
Yeah, of course.
I also I'm a deputy in my village. It's a small town, not village. And but now I live in Aktobe, and that's why they invited me as a deputy. That I was there was a report for me, and I leave my work there in Aktobe. The one day I came to my country, and we prepared almost all reports, and we should have a meeting by Zoom. But in the meeting, there was no questions to me, and I just sat down here and just said nothing in this meeting, and that was wasting my time, my whole day. And that was really sad that I thought about my work. First of all, it's money, yeah. Then that my students waited for me that time, because you know, in the English classes we are the classes are divided into two groups, but that day it was not really comfortable to them, because the whole class studied English, and I think it wasn't comfortable to them. And then my own sons were the whole day without me. That's why it was really sad.
I see. I see. I can totally feel you. Yeah, I mean, it always feels a waste when you are called to the meeting and and that meeting isn't even about you. Alrighty, guys. Now, in the remaining few minutes of our class, let's do a quick exercise on time-related vocabulary, guys, because I want all of you to use some expressions related to time in your future speech. So let's do a quick check to see whether you understand the meaning of these phrases. So how would you explain by the time?
By the time, кстати.
So not quite. By the time.
Со
By the
временем.
time we arrived, they already left.
К тому времени.
Exactly. Spend time. I mean, you probably
Тратить время.
okay. Probably know about this. In time.
Вовремя.
Great. Lose track of time.
Потерять много времени, да?
Not necessarily. So, so we were hanging out together and lost track of time, and that's why I got here late.
А мы провели много времени.
Not quite. No.
А,
To lose track of time. Lose track of time.
Lose в любом случае потерять.
Yep. But track of time. What is a track of time?
Control.
Okay, similar to control. So we were hanging out together and we lost track of time, which means that we didn't realize how much time passed while we were doing that. You see? So in Russian it would be мы потеряли счет времени. See? Lost track of time.
Счет времени. Все.
Okay, time consuming. Time consuming. Come on.
Распределение времени или как? Или
Nope.
планирование?
No, it's an adjective, guys. Time consuming. Marjan gave us a very time consuming assignment. Come on. Maybe Diana, Bigbolat, do you guys know what time consuming is?
I don't know.
Okay, time consuming means время затратный. Время затратный. Okay, which consumes a lot of time. At times.
В это время?
Look, most of the time, our lessons are very serious, but at times we have fun.
Временами, да?
Да, временами. Sometimes, right? Take your time. Take your time.
Take your time это часто используют, но как бы это твое время, да? Ну, как бы.
So, for example, let's say I gave you a task, and you're like, Magjan, please give us more time, and I'm like, it's okay, guys, take your time. Don't worry, take your time. This phrase is used when someone is doing something, a task, and yeah, if I don't want to rush him or her, I say, take your time. Don't rush. Take your time. On time.
Во время.
Во время, okay. Took so long.
Это заняло слишком много времени.
Yeah, what took you so long? Like, почему так долго? The right time.
Самое правильное время, ну, верное время.
Okay. Save time.
Не трать много времени, да? Или...
Сохранить время, да?
Сэкономить время. So I will give you a shortcut which will save you loads of time. And from time to time?
Время от времени.
Временами.
Okay, cool. Let's fill this in quick together, one by one. We are starting with Grzena. Okay.
I'm not in regular contact with him. I just send him an email from time to time.
From time to time. Good. We'll check it in the end. Next one, Aida. Aitpay.
Excuse me, do you have the right time, maybe?
Okay, let's type it in. Just give me a sec. Do you have the right time? And I really want to get there.
I have a job interview at 9 o'clock and I really want to get there.
Get there.
Oh, sorry.
And what's that here?
I don't have idea.
So you want to get there when? So if you have a job interview at 9 o'clock, you want to get there.
May I?
Come on, yeah, help out, Jana.
In
Save
time, maybe.
Yeah. You would say on time, right? Okay.
On time. Okay.
Then number 3, Aida Sailosa.
I prefer to shop online to avoid the crowds and
Save time.
Okay, great, right? It's save time. Look at the structure. To do what? To verb, to avoid the crowds, and save time, right? Next one, Diana.
He can get a bit bad-tempered. The right time?
Nope, we have the right time here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. From time to time.
We already have that, but you guessed the meaning right. The
What is
meaning
bad?
is
What is bad-tempered?
bad-tempered. Well, I mean, question to you guys: what is bad-tempered? He can be in a bad mood, right?
Okay. Maybe by the time.
Nope. By the time is it needs yeah. К тому времени как, right?
like
At times, right? Or sometimes. Cool. Next one. So Big Blood.
In time we get home, the pizza will be cold.
Nope. You get home, the pizza will be cold, right? Or you can say к тому времени как, when we
I
get
have
home.
an idea.
Okay. So what's the idea here?
By the time.
Yep, exactly. By the time we get home. Let's do another round. Aida Айтбай.
I arrive just in time.
Exactly, just in time. Look, what's the difference? If you have a specific time, right, or like 9 o'clock, you would use on time. But yeah, if you don't have a specific moment like that, and it's some general moment, like я пришел вовремя, that would be in time. Okay, good. Next one, Aida Sailosa.
I ordered a book for my sister's birthday, but it to get delivered that it missed her birthday. But it spent time.
I ordered a book for my sister's birthday, but
It
Took so long, maybe.
exactly, it took so long. So long that it missed her birthday, you see. Next one. Okay, we have Diana.
Every time I go to the library, I spend time.
Not really. Look, read the second sentence. Once I stay there for
Once
6
I stayed there for 6 hours. I took so long. I took so long.
No, we already have took so long in the previous one.
Time consuming.
yeah, that's right.
Oh, lose track of time.
Lose
Yeah.
track
Exactly.
of time. Yeah.
I lose track of time, right? Number 9, Big Blood.
Going to university is now very expensive, and looking for night course can be very time consuming.
Exactly. Time consuming. 10th, Jena.
If you get up very early, you can, I can't see the variants. You can take your time, maybe.
Exactly. Take your
Take
time.
your time getting ready and may even have enough time to cook a proper breakfast.
All right. And the final one, 11th,
Spend your
time.
time.
spend time. All right, let's check it together. Okay, one mistake, time consuming is spelled with a dash. Okay, remember that?
Yeah.
But we got all the words correctly. Alrighty, guys. That's it what we had for today. Today we covered the strategy for part 1. We also discussed the topic of time, learned some new vocabulary, and we also had some revision of the Ielts speaking exam structure. I enjoyed this lesson and I hope you did too. In case you have some questions, you can address them in the general text channel on Discord. All right. So I was pleased to meet you guys, and I really hope to see you next Monday, I guess. All right. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.